The next postulate we're going to look at is side angle side, and this is another way we can prove that our two triangles are congruent. So the side angle side postulate says if two sides and the indicated angle of one triangle are congruent to the corresponding sides and the included angle of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So the important part in side angle side, if you look, it's called side angle side. That angle is in the middle, in between both sides. So when we are looking at our two triangles, we have triangle ABC over here and DEF. If we know these sides are the same and these sides are the same, the included angle is the angle where our two sides come together, which is right here at angle A and right here at angle D. So included angle is very important because in this case, if we knew side AB and AC, the included angle could not be B or C. We would have to know that A and D are congruent. If we knew that B and E were congruent, we could not use side angle side because that angle would not be included in between our both sides. Okay, so if we look at what we're given here, we have AB is congruent to DE. We have AC is congruent to DF. And our included angle in between there is angle A is congruent to angle D. So this is what we call side angle side, SAS. And we can say our two triangles are congruent because of side angle side. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. Okay, so let's look at a few examples. This one says, which pairs of triangles are congruent by the side angle side postulate? So if we have this triangle broken up into two smaller triangles, and if we are given that these two sides are the same and these two angles are the same, we want to know, can we prove by side angle side that those two triangles are congruent? So if you notice, we have our one pair of matching sides. We have this side in the middle we know is congruent because it's the same exact line on both triangles. Then we do have two angles. But remember, side angle side, that angle is in the middle, in between our both sides. In this case, in order for our angle to be in the middle where our two sides come together, that would have to be up here, but it's not. We don't know that those two are congruent. So this one's going to be no. We cannot prove by side angle side that they are congruent because that angle is not included in between the two sides. Let's look at number 2. Number 2, we are given that this side and this side are the same, and this side and this side are the same. Okay, so let's look. We know we have our two sides that are matched up, this side and then this side and this side. We have our two sides. Now we need that angle in between where our two sides come together. So we have our two red lines coming together at this 90-degree angle in both triangles. So in this case, it's going to be side angle side. Yes, we can use it because that angle is included. So we have triangle, let's put some points on here, A, P, G, and N, O, T. Okay, so triangle GAP is congruent to triangle, so our G matches T, our A matches O, and P matches M. Okay? In number 3, we are given that these angles up here, actually let's make this a little bigger. Okay, angle for number 3, these angles are the same. They're congruent. This side and this side are congruent, and these two sides are congruent. So with this information, can we use side angle side? So we have two pairs of sides, which is our first step. Then we're going to look and see where those two sides come together and see if our angle is included in between those two sides. As you can see with those blue lines, our angle is not included. So this one is going to be no. Number 4, we have this given information, our matching sides here, and then this side is the same on both triangles, so it is going to be all three sides. So with this information, we are given no angles. So right away we can say it is not side angle side because we don't know any of the angles in those triangles. But if we were trying to prove they were congruent, we could say they were congruent by side, 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 what we talked about yesterday. But for this question, we know they are not side angle side because they have no congruent angles. Okay, and our last one, number 5, it is missing a triangle here, so I'm just going to scribble this one out and we're going to redraw it over here. This is what it's going to look like. We have something that looks like this. That's not very straight. Let's try that again. And we know the middle side's the same because it's on the same line. And we're given these two sides are the same, and these two angles right here are congruent. So can we use side angle side is the question. So if we have this side and this side coming together, and this side coming together too, we can see that our angle here is included in those where those two red lines come together. So in this case, we can say yes, side angle side, because that is where our points or our angles are included. So let's write our points and our congruency statement. We can write triangle ABC is congruent to triangle A matches D, B matches B, and C matches C. Okay? Our final piece down here is just a quick review of the parts of our right triangle. So it's important to know that when we have a right triangle, the side straight across from our 90-degree angle is called our hypotenuse. And then once we have our hypotenuse labeled, our other two sides are the legs of our triangle. Okay, so hypotenuse is the longest side of the triangle, and it is always opposite the 90-degree angle.